Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Today we delve into the lives of two of the most infamous figures in Roman history. Let's talk about family dysfunction, not just any family, but one that redefined the term in ancient Rome. Specifically, the mother-son duo that took ancient Rome for a wild ride, Nero and Agrippina. Their relationship was a complex web of ambition, manipulation, and power. Imagine a cross between Keeping Up with the Kardashians and Game of Thrones, with togas and gladiators thrown in for good measure. Their lives were filled with drama, intrigue, and a thirst for power that knew no bounds.
I was basically a Roman Justin Bieber, talented, ambitious, and prone to questionable decisions. From a young age, I was thrust into the spotlight, expected to live up to the legacy of my ancestors.
And I, Agrippina, his mother, make Kris Jenner look like a shrinking violet. My ambition was unparalleled, and I was willing to do whatever it took to see my son rise to power. I was ambitious, ruthless, and determined to make my son emperor, no matter the cost. My influence in the Roman political sphere was unmatched, and I used every tool at my disposal to achieve my goals.
Buckle up, folks, because this is one family reunion you wouldn't want to attend. The dynamics between Nero and Agrippina were anything but ordinary. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, didn't you say something about gladiators? Yes, I did. The spectacle of gladiatorial combat was a mere reflection of the brutal power struggles within the Roman elite. But before we get to the blood and guts, and trust me, we will, we need to understand the power dynamics at play. The Roman political landscape was a treacherous one, filled with backstabbing and betrayal.
I wasn't just Nero's mother, I was his ticket to the top. My connections and cunning were instrumental in his rise to power. Think of it like this. Imagine if Beyoncé had to rely on her mum, Tina, to become Queen Bey. That's the kind of influence we're talking about. My role was pivotal in shaping Nero's destiny. That's the kind of influence we're talking about. My ambition knew no bounds, and I was willing to go to great lengths to ensure Nero's success.
Agrippina used her cunning connections and maybe even a little blackmail to secure Nero's claim to the throne. Her methods were as ruthless as they were effective, but as we all know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The more power they gained, the more their relationship deteriorated. And boy, did things get corrupt. The story of Nero and Agrippina is a cautionary tale of how ambition and power can lead to one's downfall. Their legacy is a testament to the dark side of human nature and the lengths people will go to achieve their desires. So Nero becomes emperor at the ripe old age of 16. You know, that awkward age where you're trying to figure out who you are, what you want to do with your life, and whether or not your mum can still tell you what to wear.
Naturally, I took this as an opportunity to be the ultimate stage mum. I micromanaged Nero's schedule, appointments, and even his love life. Imagine having your mum read your texts, choose your girlfriend, and then insist on chaperoning your dates. That's me in a nutshell.
Nero, being a teenage emperor with a penchant for drama, wasn't exactly thrilled about this arrangement. He wanted to be taken seriously as a ruler, not treated like a puppet on his mother's strings. But Agrippina, bless her heart, was not one to let go of power easily. She'd clawed her way to the top of the Roman food chain, and she wasn't about to let a little thing like her son's independence get in the way. This, as you can imagine, led to some, shall we say, disagreements. As Nero grew older and more confident, the power struggle between him and Agrippina intensified. It was like watching a particularly brutal season of Game of Thrones, but with worse haircuts and even more backstabbing.
I tried to maintain my influence through a combination of guilt trips, political maneuvering, and the occasional thinly veiled threat.
I started to assert my independence by, well, doing whatever I wanted. I indulged in lavish parties, surrounded myself with yes-men and women, and generally acted like a Roman rock star.
Agrippina, appalled by her son's behavior and threatened by his growing popularity, did what any loving mother would do. She threatened to replace him. Yes, you heard that right. Agrippina started dropping hints that she might support a different heir to the throne, someone a little more, shall we say, compliant. This, my friends, was a step too far, even for Nero. Section 4, sink or swim. Spoiler, she almost swam.
Now, we're getting to the good stuff, the assassination attempts. The political intrigue in ancient Rome was nothing short of a dramatic play, filled with twists and turns that would make even the most seasoned playwright envious.
No, I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill poison in the wine goblet kind of assassination. Those were almost too common in the annals of Roman history, a dime a dozen. This is Nero we're talking about, the emperor who allegedly fiddled while Rome burned. His methods were as flamboyant and dramatic as his personality. He was never one for subtlety. His actions were always grandiose, designed to leave an indelible mark on history.
So, how do you get rid of a meddling mother who also happens to be one of the most powerful women in Rome? Agrippina was no ordinary woman. She was a force to be reckoned with, a political powerhouse. If you're Nero, you build a collapsible boat. Ingenious, right? A boat that would fall apart at the most opportune moment.
That's right, folks. Nero's first attempt on his mother's life involved a boat designed to fall apart in the middle of the sea. It was a plan that required meticulous engineering and a touch of theatrical flair. It was a cunning plan, if a bit on the nose. The idea was simple yet diabolical. Create a scenario where the boat would disintegrate, leaving no evidence of foul play. Invite Mum out for a lovely cruise, enjoy some quality time together, and then, whoops! The boat springs a leak and sinks, taking dear old Mum with it. It was supposed to be the perfect crime, an accident that no one would question.
Accident, fate, divine intervention? Who's to say? The Romans were a superstitious lot, always looking for signs from the gods.
Unfortunately for Nero, but fortunately for lovers of historical irony, Agrippina was a strong swimmer. She wasn't going down without a fight. She managed to escape the sinking ship and swim to shore, probably plotting her revenge the entire time. Strike one for Nero. Agrippina's survival was a testament to her resilience and cunning, qualities that had helped her navigate the treacherous waters of Roman politics for years. Section 5. Home Improvement, Ancient Rome Style. In this chapter, we delve into the dramatic and often brutal world of ancient Roman domestic life, where home improvement had a very different meaning.
After the boat incident, things got a little awkward between Nero and Agrippina. The tension was palpable, and the air was thick with unspoken words and hidden agendas. Imagine the passive-aggressive family dinners, the strained silences, the constant fear of being pushed into another body of water. Every meal was a minefield, with each family member carefully navigating the treacherous waters of their relationships.
Nero, realizing that subtlety wasn't his strong suit, decided to go for a more direct approach. He was a man of action after all, and he believed that decisive measures were needed to resolve his issues with Agrippina. If he couldn't drown his mother, he'd just have to, well, you know. The plan was simple yet brutal, reflecting the harsh realities of power struggles in ancient Rome.
One fateful night, Nero invited Agrippina to his villa for dinner. It was a seemingly innocent invitation, but beneath the surface, dark intentions lurked. Maybe he promised to make her favorite dish, or maybe she was just tired of swimming. The promise of a peaceful evening might have been too tempting to resist. Whatever the reason, Agrippina showed up, probably expecting nothing more than some lukewarm wine and a healthy dose of guilt. She might have hoped for a reconciliation, or at least a temporary truce.
What she got instead was a visit from some of Nero's most trusted associates. These men were not there to enjoy the dinner, they had a far more sinister purpose. These weren't your average Roman plumbers, mind you. They were skilled in the darker arts of Roman politics, where loyalty was often paid in blood. These guys were skilled in the art of, shall we say, home demolition, but this wasn't about knocking down walls or fixing leaks, it was about eliminating threats. Let's just say the interior decorating took a turn for the worse that night. The villa, once a place of grandeur and elegance, became a scene of chaos and violence, and by interior decorating I mean murder. The carefully laid plans culminated in a brutal act that would echo through history. And by turn for the worse, I mean Agrippina was stabbed to death. Her life ended in a manner befitting the ruthless world of ancient Rome, where power and survival were often a deadly game. Section 6. Cover-up is not just makeup, Agrippina.
Now, you might think that murdering your own mother would be a tough sell to the Roman public. And you'd be right. Even in ancient Rome, where political assassinations were as common as chariot races, matricide was frowned upon.
So what's a boy emperor to do? Why, launch a smear campaign, of course. Nero, never one to miss a PR opportunity, immediately went into damage control mode.
He spread rumors that Agrippina had been plotting to kill him first, and that he had acted in self-defense. He even went so far as to accuse her of trying to seduce him, which you
Amazingly, some people bought it, or at least they pretended to. Public opinion was divided, but Nero, with his knack for propaganda and his penchant for theatrics, managed to weather the storm. For a while, anyway. Section 7, history's juiciest family drama.
In the end, Nero's reign was short-lived and tumultuous. He continued to indulge in his passions, whether it was acting, singing, or persecuting Christians.
He became known as a tyrant, a madman, and of course a mama's boy who took things a little too far. But even though he's been dead for centuries, the story of Nero and Agrippina continues to fascinate us.
It's a tale of power, ambition, betrayal, and yes, even a twisted kind of love.
It's a reminder that even in the most powerful families, dysfunction reigns supreme, and that sometimes the truth is stranger and funnier than fiction. Just try not to get too many ideas from these two, okay? Matricide is never a good look.